what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
U.S. Health Advisors want you to know your health coverage does not have to be complicated. If you aren't happy with your insurance plan, there are unlimited and comprehensive medical plan options available to you right now. U.S. Health Advisors offers solutions which can't be found anywhere else. They can even offer you the ability to purchase more coverage if and when you need it. U.S. Health Advisors offers fair rates and no surprises. Sounds nice, doesn't it? If you'd like to know more, contact U.S. Health Advisors at 828-554-3032 or by email at daniel.bryant@ushadvisors.com.
We'll try not to too much talk over each other, but again, we are girls and we are
agree to disagree.
Okay,
moving on.
Well, the makeup bottle. A little. It's like a cracked out T-bird, some grease.
Yeah.
She's got that black hair.
Welcome back to ChickChat. I feel like it has been forever, and I feel like I say that every episode, and I apologize, but we're working moms. We got to do what we got to do. We get to the show when we get to the show. Jeanette, welcome.
Hi. Good to be here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. My goodness, 2020.
I know.
Gosh. Well, I know that you are dealing with a sick kid today.
I am. Yes, I'm a little frazzled, so.
Well, let's enjoy ourselves with some mom time then.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So how's your new year started off?
So far, so good. A little busy, but, it's fun busy. Kids picking up with sports again, so.
Great. What
Getting
sports?
back to a regular schedule instead of that kid home for 2.5 weeks, sleeping in.
Yeah, the holiday schedule tends to throw everybody off, and then you got to get back in the groove of things, which is even harder. So,
right.
My family thrives on routine, and so we're fine to be back in the groove of things. I'm good with that. We too are in the full sports swing of things, so that keeps us busy as well. But we're at the end of January now, so we've got till a couple more days, and then we're in February. And I don't know, January seemed kind of long. Lots of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just cut right to the chase.
Okay.
You and I talked ahead of time and said we had a few things we want to discuss on the show that are clearly pressing in the media, in the entertainment world. But I do think we would be not doing our duty if we did not say that an incredibly sad event happened last week or a few days ago, basically now, with the death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and 7 other people on the horrible helicopter crash. Jeanette, I know you come from a sports family.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a sports family. We've got sports kids. We both have sport enthusiast husbands. What has the mood been like within your family upon this news, and how did you guys deal with it?
Sunday, when we found out, it was heavy. I mean, it was shocking. And then the more that came out, it just was like a gut punch. There were lots of hugs and kisses still continuing. Even my daughter was like, why do you guys, what's wrong with you guys? And she knew it was going on. She's obviously old enough to process.
Which your daughter is how old now?
She's 12. She's almost 13. So she's like 12 and a half. So,
same here. Our daughters are the same age. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the same age as Gianna.
Mm-hmm.
And so it hit her, and she plays travel sports. So it was another one of those connections. And so we explained to her, as best we could, we love you all the time, but this really hits home for us. We feel like you may feel like we overdo it on the love and the hugs and the kisses, but to us, it's never enough.
Yeah.
So she got it, and she's accepting of it. Sometimes she's like, it's enough. But
yeah.
But I mean, it was one of those things where you just, it was, how do you process it? And I think we still are. It really hit my husband hard. Mm-hmm. We had just finished watching a basketball game. So the game was on, the TV was on like ESPN or something. And the kids were in here and they're playing and it's loud. And all of a sudden my husband sits up and he's like, what? And I look at the TV and I see it and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so it took a minute, like, no, it can't be real. It can't be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it was one of those we're still processing as a mother. Mm-hmm. It hits extremely hard and I empathize so much with Vanessa. I obviously don't know her personally, but just the heavy heart I felt of her getting that news that not only her husband, but her child. Mm-hmm. And she has a newborn at home and she has an infant at home who will likely never have memories of these two important people in her life. And how do you deal with that? And not only that, but an older daughter who's able to process it all. And it's at what point do you say, mommy duties have to take over because of the newborn? But at the same time, I'm grieving the loss of a child and the loss of a husband and at such a young age. And, they've been together since they were teenagers. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then just watching all the tributes and looking at Facebook and everything, it's just, it hits you hard. And, we're both parents of girls who are athletic and just the pride he had in his children and advocate for girls in sports, women in sports in general, that in itself is like, wow, he took on the role of a girl dad pretty awesomely. And he was going to do what parents do on the weekends when you have kids who are in sports, and they were going to a basketball game. And, he's Kobe and it's his place. But he was also coach and he was also dad. And it was just heartbreaking. I mean, I think I'm still in the whole, how could something like this happen type thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on the one hand, you're like, if your teenage daughter has to go surrounded by love and with someone who loves her and is able to, and my thought went to, what were his thoughts in that moment? Was he trying to keep her calm, knowing what was happening? And did he have time to process what was happening? It's just, you go through all the emotions of what a gut punch it would be if you're ever in that situation. Like, you don't want to put yourself in that situation or even have to imagine what it would be like. But you do. You're like, what would I do in that moment? Like, your priority does not become your life. It becomes the life of your child. Yeah. So, and the life of the others on that plane, because ultimately you probably feel responsible. But I know all those thoughts and those few minutes, the minute that they had, you feel for them, you feel the pain at the children and the fear that they probably had. And I don't know, it's a lot to process.
It is. And I'm glad that you are taking the same approach. I feel like we're on the same page with this. My husband enjoys watching the NBA. I'm 40 years old. Kobe was 41. So ever since he's been in the spotlight, I've been old enough to recognize that he's in the spotlight. We've kind of been on that same age range there. But yeah, really this, I get it. I know he's a legend. I know he's an icon when it comes to basketball, but really that's not been what's been the loss for me. I understand it's a loss to that basketball community, but that's just what makes it real for people, right? Because whether you knew him or not, which majority of the world did not know him personally, right? They can relate to him. And for a lot of us, we related to him through a family as being a dad. He stepped away from the basketball scene after he retired. You didn't see him as much doing a lot of things. He had so much going on. He had a podcast called The Punies. He wrote books, children's books. My kids got 2 of his books for Christmas this year, the basketball one and the tennis one, which is just seems really cool now too. But yeah, the simple fact that we have children the same age as Gigi was, and the fact that I'm Kobe's age essentially, and the fact that they were doing something that was so real In fact, it was so real to us. I received a notice on my phone. I get like an alert, with breaking news type things on my phone. Mm-hmm. I received it Sunday, an alert. And I was sitting at my daughter's travel basketball game, watching them play while I received the alert. Yeah. And slowly, you actually saw other people on their phones more and more through, over the next 15 minutes of people looking at their phones, showing their phone to other people, talking and stuff. And, here I was at a travel basketball game, watching my kid play, and this had happened. And I'm on the West Coast. So I was right here in that time zone, where it was happening. Yeah. But it was just really surreal. And like you said, the emotion of being a mom, and I have 2 girls. So my husband is a girl dad, and he is damn proud of it. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't change that for the world. At one point there was that time in our lives where it was like, you sure we shouldn't try for a boy? But you know what would have happened? We would have had 3 girls. Right. And that's just, that would have been fine too. But it was, he loves being a girl dad. And so those are the things that hit hardest. And, these 7 people that were on the helicopter with him, I think about that and the fact that Gigi was with her friends. She was with her girlfriends, who, as we know, at 13 years old, is so crucial, to, it's where friendships are really formed, strong ones, bonds. It's a weird time in your life. I don't care who your dad is or how famous you are. It's weird to be 12 and 13 years old, right? Yeah. And so, she was with her friends. And I mean, not that I would ever want this to happen to more than just one child or anything, but she was with her friends and they were going to do what they loved. And then they were with their families. And so, there's a little bit of comfort in the fact that, I've seen people say things like, oh, well, there's one hell of a one-on-one game going on up in heaven, or look, they've got a 3-on-3 tournament getting ready to happen or something. And so, I mean, little things, it's nothing makes it easier, but you got to find some little solace and things like that. And of course, the outpouring of support that has come from the world for this, I think, brought together all race, religion, backgrounds, everything, because there was some sort of connection to this for everybody, whether you're a parent, whether you're a basketball fan, whether you, were just a entertainment junkie, you found something in this that has been pretty remarkable to bring everybody together. I've loved seeing the comments about the encouragement of telling everybody you love them when you have the chance, telling the people that, you care for, righting wrongs and everything else that's come for it. And, maybe that's what the mission was, right? Maybe that's what's supposed to come out of this. So it was horrible. It's going to be something that people will not forget for a long time. I hope they don't. And, like you said, I don't know if anybody listens to this podcast or not. Who knows? And it doesn't really matter. But if the people that are listening, we hope that us talking about this for just a couple minutes before we get on to stuff that probably is just not as important, just gives you a little break and know that we appreciate you listening to this show, letting us have an outlet to talk and to be moms and to vent and to have our guilty pleasures on here. And we appreciate you. We appreciate your time and listening. And we hope that you'll continue to do so. But our thoughts and prayers obviously are with the families and friends of all of those impacted by this, but also with the world who can be grieving in their own ways about whatever it is. So that is that. It's a lot. It's pretty heavy, but if one thing's come out of it too, of what I keep hearing some of his teammates and his colleagues and friends say, is that, the game's got to go on, keep going and keep doing what you're doing. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do our show as we see fit. And we're going to talk about some pretty catty stuff and some stuff that matters to us. Might not matter to you, but it matters to us, and it's good entertainment. So hopefully you'll stick around and listen to the rest of it, because we're talking about all kinds of royalty today, not just British royalty.
Oh,
we're talking about American royalty too.
Okay.
Girl, I want you to tell me if you are, if you were a fan of Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston together back in the 90s and early 2000s.
I was, and I am. I've always been.
Oh, you
Jennifer.
Are. You've been Team Jen.
I am here for it forever. I've been Team Jen forever.
Okay. So we know that recently the SAG Awards, it's award season, which is one of our favorites, right? So it's award season, and I believe it was the SAG Awards that happened. Mm-hmm. We got some inside photos and video of Brad and Jen having a moment backstage to where they're both single now. This is one of the first times that they've both been single and in the same place, right? That's what I understand.
Okay.
What do you make of this situation? What do you make of the pair having a very casual, smiling, hand touching and grabbing of arm incident?
So, I mean, they obviously knew cameras were on them. It wasn't like a private moment that we caught. So I think part of it was intentional. It is award season. What it made me think of, even though I loved it, I'm like, ooh, give me more. When is the wedding?
Yes.
So, it made me think of when Jared Leto and Lupita Nyong'o were up for awards, and everyone was coupling them right during award season. And it was kind of like the big thing to watch during award season, but they both win. They both, I believe, won Golden Globes. So were they both going to win the Oscars? Are they going to show up at the Oscars together? Ooh, they've been out to dinner together. Mm-hmm. What a beautiful couple they'd make. It kind of reminds me of that, except they have the history. Jared and Lupita were just kind of a fun thing to watch. Like, are they or aren't they? Mm-hmm. I think this is the same thing, but they've said they've remained friends forever, for years. And I mean, we don't know what goes on with them. I mean, you've got to think, if you love someone enough to marry them and to continue to be friends with them, who knows? There may still be a little bit of a spark there.
I know. I can't help but wonder and hope and dream, of course, because I too am Team Jen. I can't help but wonder if their timing was just off before.
The first time?
Right? Yeah. Okay. It just wasn't, maybe it just wasn't the right time. They were both still relatively young, right? They were young. They were still kind of finding their way in Hollywood.
They were kind of at the high point of their careers at that point.
They had their moments, but they weren't considered legends yet.
Oh, no. But they were like in the Friends, and I'm just becoming like this bankable movie star.
That's right.
I'm headlining movies, and they're successful, and I'm on a successful TV show. So,
and that makes them, I think, appealing to people, right? Everybody was here for it. Everybody wanted to see the wedding. Everybody wanted the photos. Everybody loved the ring, all of that stuff. But maybe because the timing could have been off a little bit, because they were coming into the height of their success. That adds that extra stress to it. That adds a little too much drama sometimes. And then Angelina comes along and is dirty and wears black all the time and all that. She becomes that girl that gets in the way. And we have to acknowledge that the media plays a part in that, right? They're doing this movie together, and they've got this on-screen chemistry and whatever. But I just wonder if the timing wasn't right. And now they've gone through their bad ones. They it's like they're the parents now, right? I mean, they're the grown-ups. So they can look at each other and be like, that's fine. Hold my hand as I walk by. Or yeah, go ahead. Like now's the time. We're both adults now and we see it clearly now. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get remarried. I think they'll be like a Kurt Russell, Goldie Hawn situation. If they end up together, they'll just end up together as life partners. I don't think they've both been through 2 marriages. This would be their 3rd. Actually, it might be Brad's 4th because he was married. Was he married before?
Was he married when he was like a baby? I don't know if I'm
thinking of him or Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise was married before Nicole Kidman. So
yes,
maybe I'm
to what's her name? She was famous. Yeah.
And then George Clooney was married before. So I might be mixing them up, but it's at least number 3 for both of them, or it would be.
I'm about to find out. I'm doing a little deep dive here.
Jen's engaged, but she never married Donovan Tate. Okay.
No, he's only been married to Jen and Angelina.
Okay. So it would be number 3 for both of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so, I mean, there's kind of something like does fate keep bringing us together for a reason type.
Right. Now's our time.
Is there a reason the other relationships don't work out? And is he her lobster?
He's her lobster. Even if he did have the I Hate Rachel Green club.
That was the best club ever. Ross was part of it too. So
it was one of my favorite episodes.
That was my all-time favorite. Every time that one comes on, I have to watch it.
Same here. I love that episode. He plays such a phenomenal part. When he looks over at her and is just scowling and mumbling under his breath and staring at her, and Rachel looks back and is like, oh my gosh, he's totally staring at me and like really into me, but really he's talking about how much he hates her. That was great. And that was, again, all of us in that age range watching that show were melting the whole episode, right? Because here they are on camera together and they're not together in the show. It was fantastic. I loved it. I think there's still a buzz around the whole, will the Friends cast have a reboot? Mm-hmm. And so people are still very interested in what Jen is doing. And Brad has had some really big hits recently in the movie world. And this year, especially, he's up for Oscar nominations and things like that for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And so the spotlight's still on them enough. And so you're going to catch these little things. And I'm like you, I'm here for it. I want to see more. And I think we're going to see more, even if they tell us it's just as friends, which again, I'm okay with. But I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking they're really hanging out.
I'd hate to really see him with somebody else.
I want him to bring his mom again to the Oscars, which he, I believe, has done in the past. Mm-hmm. And then I want her to show up with no date. And then I want to see because I have to think that Brad's mom probably likes Jen better than Angelina.
I mean,
right?
But they do have kids together. Those are her grandkids. I mean, you've got to like Angelina a little bit.
Yeah, but they've gone through all that nastiness lately too. So the mom's probably like, you know what?
Love the babies.
That's right. Love the babies. Don't need the mama. And so I wonder, how cool would it be if we were to see a photo of Brad, his mom, and Jen, hanging out, sharing a cocktail. I love it.
It could happen.
I'm totally here for it. We will.
Or they could show up together.
Oh gosh, don't even tease me with it because it's too deep. I don't think it would ever happen right now, but a girl can dream.
Yeah, the way he was looking at the television monitor, watching her, I was just like, oh, I melt. And she didn't even know.
And it was
backstage for her.
It was fantastic. If it's a celebrity stunt of trying to get publicity, great, fine, whatever. But I can't help but wonder, why the hell do you need it? You're up for Oscars right now. Yeah. You don't need this publicity. this was legit. This was real life. Like, that's my girl, and I'm watching her, and look at how great she looks, and look how happy I am for her. Have you watched the morning show that Jen's done? No. So I have watched it, and I love it. It is, if you're a Jen Aniston fan, you'll enjoy it. But seeing her and Reese Witherspoon together is pretty amazing. It's quite the duo, and it's not Rachel, if that makes sense. Like, it is, for a while there, she was cast in all the rom-coms and those movies that she was just a little typecast, but this is totally different. And for those of you that don't know, the morning show is on the new Apple Plus app that you can download and get. And there is a free trial, which I would encourage you to do, and binge watch all these shows, and then not keep it if you don't want to. But the premise of this show, which I was not quite aware of whenever I started watching it, I just wanted to see Jen and Reese together. It's essentially the Today Show when Matt Lauer gets the boot.
Oh,
right. So Steve Carell is on there. And basically the first episode is people waking up to the fact that the popular male part of the morning show hosts, which is Steve Carell and Jen Aniston, the male side, Steve Carell, has been accused of sexual harassment by several people. And the news breaks, and they have to, as they're going on air, come up with what they're going to say. And then she's up there by herself, and the network realizes they need to change, and they need to switch this up on how things are going on this network. And in comes Reese Witherspoon, who is a small town, never been on national television, only does local news, girl on the scene things, and she gets recognized and put into this position kind of without knowing what she was getting into, and starts up a big stir. So there's just a lot of little stories going on. There's some humor in it, but it's definitely pretty timely and dark. But if that stuff interests you, I'd go check it out. Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we both know what we want out of that. Now, here's the big deal. Here's what we really came to talk about today. Here's what people expect us to talk about today, Jeanette.
I know.
I'm still a little frustrated by this. So I'm going to need you, as the fan of Meghan, to give me the lowdown on, give us a little breakdown on what has happened with Harry and Meghan since the last time we were on this show.
So they have decided to step away from as senior royals, meaning they won't be living in the UK and doing events, ribbon cuttings, handshaking on behalf of the Queen. And they've maintained their titles as Duke and Duchess, but they are no longer referred to as their Royal Highnesses. So pretty much following in the footsteps of Diana, where she has a royal role in the royal family, but it's also, I can step out and do my own thing. I can be my own person. I don't have to follow the royal protocol anymore. Harry obviously is still part of the family, and with Meghan having married into it is as well, and as is Archie of royal bloodline. But they have decided that the royal life is not for them. So they packed up their bags and moved to Canada, and have decided that they would prefer to live life as, I don't know if they're so much commoners, but just not senior royals.
Well, all right. So let's break this down here. So I get what you're saying. To really put people in perspective, you refer to it as like Diana did. But Diana got divorced.
She did. Yeah.
So I think of that as naturally being like, screw all you guys. Here I go. yeah, I get it. I've got kids that are about to be one of them's going to be the future king. So I have to kind of keep my toes in the water a little bit. But to me, the divorce thing seems a completely different role. So I look at this as Meghan's fault. There, I said it.
I think Meghan was supportive. I don't think this was Meghan's fault. To me, by saying this is all Meghan's doing.
Let's take away the word fault. How about this is Meghan's doing?
I don't think I agree with that either. And I only say that because there happened to be a special on ABC last night, and I watched the whole. My husband watched it too, which was weird. I was like, "I'll tape it. You can watch something else." He's like, "No, this is fine." But here's what I'm saying: to put it all on Meghan, kind of says that Harry does not have a voice in the matter, and that Harry just follows whatever Meghan wants. And I don't think do I think Meghan was unhappy? Absolutely. But do I think she had a reason to be unhappy? After seeing all the details and his interview with friends and some journalists who weren't sensational journalists like Piers Morgan and just talking about what life is really like on the inside, I get it. Like it's, they even went so far as to say the media here was brutal to Meghan. And, they don't like to be called racist or whatever, but let's compare headlines. Meghan's friend takes a picture of avocado toast that Meghan made for her. And this is just an example that Meghan made for them for breakfast. And all over the headlines, it was, oh, she doesn't care about the world and avocados or, whatever the thing is with avocados. She got blamed for eating avocados. Meanwhile, a headline about Kate and William bringing Kate avocados because she has morning sickness was praised as, oh, Kate's getting avocados. William's such a good husband. Hope this helps. And then another one with both of them wearing one shoulder dresses. Actually, I think not Meghan's, but Kate's was strapless. It was one of those off the shoulder type dresses. And Meghan was a one shoulder thing. Kate getting said, oh, she's bold and daring and beautiful and in off the shoulder and strapless dress. And Meghan's was, she looks trashy. She's trashing the royal family. What is she doing to the royal family? So they kind of did side by sides of the exact same thing. But then why is Kate being upheld a different way than Meghan is? And they were all saying we should have seen the signs of this coming into it, with them not wanting Archie to have a royal title, with Harry saying things like he admired how his cousins, Eugenie and Beatrice, could live their own lives outside of the, still be part of the royal family, but they're able to have their own jobs and do their own thing. They don't have to, they're not under the same pressure he is. And then saying, they even said, let's be real. We all know why people were upset with that Meghan didn't post the pictures or come out of the hospital like Kate did when she had the hospital, and they waited and did it on their own terms. Because what people really wanted to see was what color was the baby. That's what everybody wanted to see. And they're like, they call Meghan things like exotic, and people post pictures of a family walking out of the hospital with a monkey as a baby, and it's supposed to depict Meghan and Harry. He's like, so living under that constantly for the little time she was here, imagine if they had stayed. And so Harry has always had this issue with media because of his mom. And he didn't want it for himself. He didn't want it for his wife, and he definitely does not want it for his child. So they are saying, we should have seen it in that African tour ITV documentary that they did. The writing was on the wall then. It's like, this is not something that they went to Christmas and decided. This has been in the works for months, because anybody would be unhappy under those circumstances, whether it's Meghan's family coming out of the woodwork to dish on her, friends, there's nothing Meghan could have done for people to be like, oh, she's great, she's fabulous. Now, what she did was breathe life into the royal family, but she was challenged all the way by outsiders. Like, yes, the royal family may have welcomed her, but England did not. And, they were saying, the comparison started immediately with Wallis Simpson. And, let's be real. Harry did not walk away, did not give up the crown. Harry was not going to be king. And I think I went through all the emotions when I found out, like, oh, that's so sad. They're going to step away from the royal family and do that. I'm like, but really, I'm not thinking, it's not like Harry was ever going to be king. They're not asking to be supported. They want to make their own money. So I think to say that, was Meghan a catalyst? I think her happiness was certainly a catalyst. I think she's fragile. I certainly think that. And I think Harry, as a husband and a father, wants to do everything he can to protect his family in a way that his mother was not protected. And if that means that they have to step away for a while and regain their footing as just a family and be able to be a family, then that's what he wants to do. And all reports are that from his friends are that they haven't seen Harry this happy in a while, that he's smiling, that he's relaxed. It's, and it's not like the paparazzi's going to go away. If anything, it's going to be more, but they're not, she no longer has to be, she's, you name it, Mexit. So it's like, even then it's like, as much as we want to put it on Meghan, she's not the royal. So yeah, she could have said, I don't want this, but Harry could have very well said, you knew what you were marrying into. This is the life we've chosen and we're doing it. And if you don't want to do it, fine, you can step away and not do any events, but this is my life. And this is what you married into. So, I mean, was she a catalyst? Certainly. I think, though, this was all Harry's doing.
So you said it already. You said that, you used in the term that Harry could have been like, hey, this is what you signed up for, right?
Right.
I think that's honestly where a lot of, especially the British society, right? People that actually live there, people that actually have him as their royalty, because it doesn't matter to us, I guess. But the people that
live a little closer to you now.
I know. But I think that, from day one, there have been issues with how Meghan has taken to the royal customs, if you will. There's been reports from day one about difficulties that she's had, staff that she's been through, things that she basically kind of brought up and said no to or dismissed, right? So I think that's what caused the tension in the first place. But, you have to think back. Kate gets a little bit different treatment now because Kate's been groomed, right? Kate's been a part of this family for a long time. But remember those pictures back in the days? When she was out partying at the clubs and stuff like that, she caught some hell for that too. They just didn't happen to be married at the time. Right. But, Meghan kind of popped onto the scene real quick, and then boom, they're married, and boom, she's trying to change a lot of things within her daily life, and yes, Harry could easily say, this is what you signed up for. If you don't want to do it, sorry for you. But I will still stand behind the phrase I've said all along, that Harry loves Meghan more than Meghan loves Harry. Now, like I said, I've never claimed that she doesn't truly and genuinely love Harry. That's not what I mean. It's more the matter of who wears the pants in the family. It kind of came across that it was her. And I have read several articles that basically that's the way the British people feel, is that, Harry should have taken better steps to make this work in a different way that didn't involve them stepping away, if that makes sense. So I've mentioned before that I have a British...
What was their other option?
To what do you mean?
Like, I mean,
other than stepping away?
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's, I mean, but maybe there is some different ways to go about things in their own day-to-day life. Like, hey, Megan, let's get you a little heads up on some of these things that are about to happen. And here's what the royal tradition is of how we have to do it. It's kind of the way it is. There was tiffs from day one between the siblings, right, as they got married. Not saying that everybody has to love everybody from, everybody's different people, but it seemed like Megan kind of didn't, again, I'm not there. So what I'm reading and seeing was that people were feeling like she kind of came in and started trying to make all these changes and that Harry was not kind of stating that this is how it's done.
But he's always been the wild child and kind of doing his own thing. I think people are a little upset because he's Diana's youngest son. He's the most popular royal. And they feel like, again, he didn't divorce the family. It's still his family. And my opinion is when and if William becomes king, they'll be back. They might even come back when his dad takes the crown. I think they need to step away. I think Harry's mental health has always been fragile since his mom's death at an early age. He mentioned the paparazzi more even before Meghan. He's always had an issue. We talked about some of the things that just the things he's done, just coming to Las Vegas and doing weird things. And then now you see your wife going through some of the same mental health issues and probably close to depression. I mean, it's hard to wake up every morning and go out there and shake hands with people and then come home and see headlines in there about how you hugged somebody or you did this, and it's like, I can't win for losing. What more can I do? And I'm sure there were a lot of tears. So at what point, I mean, I think any husband would say, this is enough. I'm in line to be king, but I'm not going to be king. I'm not abdicating the throne. All I'm saying is I want to take my family and get away for a while and not have to do 150 things a month or a year and shake hands, cut ribbons, do this thing, and have people criticize me and my wife and my son while doing it when all I'm doing is my job. So if that's going to be how it is, I'm going to go to Canada and live our lives, and we'll set our own terms. We'll do things the way we want to do them. We'll choose the events and the charities that we support. We don't want to live off your dime because you obviously have a problem with the way Meghan's living off your dime. So they're already independently wealthy, and now they'll make even more money. So, I mean, I think any husband in that situation would take their wife's feelings into consideration when it's, yes, I understand the family is accepting her, but if a whole country and tabloids and Piers Morgan's on TV every day blasting you and inviting your family to dish dirt on you, you've got to at some point say, I give up. You win. You wanted her gone. She's gone. But guess what? I'm going with her. And I think that's what Harry did. He said, you don't like her. You don't want her, but I'm part of the package now. So if you don't want my wife, you don't want me, we're leaving. And so I think that's where people are taking exception to it, is because he called their bluff. He chose Meghan over them.
And I do get that. I understand where that's coming from. But what I think we have to remember is that we're seeing things from the American side of stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have a monarch that, we don't have that type of society.
Right.
We saw the Deal or No Deal girl get selected to be married to Prince Harry, right? Right. The girl from Suits, the girl that did makeout scenes on TV and everybody saw it. Right. As I've mentioned before, my brother-in-law is originally from England, and actually worked at one point under the Queen's Guard. We texted him, and my sister-in-law whenever all this was going down. And she said that honestly, he's pretty ticked off. Like he feels like it's a little bit of a smack in the face. Towards their society as a whole because of what things were founded on and grounded on and what they have been taught all along to respect and to look towards was this monarchy, even though, as my husband would say, like, it's not a real thing. Like it's, my husband, he laughs at the fact that I get caught up in all this stuff because he's like, you realize they have no power. Like they're not.
Right. They have a parliament. They have a prime minister.
Exactly. Like they don't do
they have free elections.
Right. So it's sort of like a society thing. If you wanted to make it sort of layman's terms, it's a society thing. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think because sometimes they look to that family as, each generation relates to them in a different way. Queen Elizabeth being a young female that was thrust into it and at such a young age and has survived this long as queen. The different relationships that she's had with prime ministers over the years. Her little spunkiness that, they kind of have grown to love, I guess. Prince Philip being like the crypt keeper, who's goodness gracious, like bless his heart. You can't help but love him for kind of standing by his wife, but being so frail now. And then of course there comes the Diana thing and everybody kind of lived through that and stuff. And while we all were engulfed in that because it was so charming to watch these royal weddings and then unfortunate to see the death of Diana and the issues, I think it's different for British people. This is their society that they're supposed to be looking to for in examples and in things. And then to have somebody of their own to basically be like, you know what, guys, we don't really want to be a part of you anymore. My brother-in-law considered it kind of a smack in the face, especially because of his generation, how much they look to William and Harry as just role models, but also they were kind of, yes, we know that William is a little more staunch now because he's going to be king. He has to be. He's being groomed for this, right? But, everybody's always loved him, right? It's always been William and Harry, and that's kind of the dynamic duo that's going to make our country, meaning Great Britain, is going to make this country take it to the next level. People are waiting for this. My brother-in-law said numerous times they have no desire to have Charles be the king. They would be just fine if Charles either, chose to not take the crown, whenever the time came to be, or they all take solace in the fact that he's already getting up there in age to where he will not have a very long reign. And they're all awaiting the time that William takes it over because they consider him a hero. They consider Harry a hero. They consider these brothers to be, like I said, the next generation of this society that they are supposed to be molding their country after. And then one of them decides to kind of split. And I think he was just a little, he as a person who grew up as the same age as these boys, and being told and then worked under the king's or the queen's guard, that he just was offended by it, and I can't relate to that because I don't live there and they're not my monarch.
Right. And I get that. But honestly, all he did was quit a job. He chose a job to go start his own company. But that's really what he did.
That's easy for us to say, though.
But if we think about it, he didn't say, I no longer want to be known as Prince Harry. He just basically said, I don't want to be a senior royal. I don't want to do that. He wants to be like Eugenie and Beatrice. They make their own way in life. Nobody considers them lesser royals because they live their own life and have jobs and make their own money. But for some reason, I understand why people hold Harry to a higher standard, but that's essentially all he did is say, I don't want to be supported by the sovereign crown anymore, the sovereign trust. I'll make my own money. And I guess they're right. It was a slap in the face, and maybe intentionally so by Harry, again, because you're basically, you love me, but you don't love my wife. So as long as you're going to continue to make life difficult for her, I'm always going to choose the side of my wife. So if that's the way it's going to be here for her, I can't be here. So he's probably right. Maybe it was an intentional slap in the face of, until you get your act together and learn that you can't have me and not have, and without her, then we're going to step away, and I'm going to make sure that she's okay. I'm going to take her somewhere where she can be protected and not have to live this day to day, waking up and being, thrust in the spotlight simply because she ate avocado toast in the morning for breakfast. So maybe he's right. Maybe it was a slap in the face. And I think he was driven to it. I think they welcomed Megan with open arms and said, we love you. You make Harry a better person. We love seeing you together. I think maybe they probably would have stayed. But the fact that it was just too difficult, he intentionally said, yeah, I'm gone. I'm going to take my family with me. But I do think there's some wiggle room for them to come back, whether it's when Charles takes over and he's given a different type of role, or when William takes over and he comes back and says, I will support you as king.
Well, I hope that's the case. I hope that he does come back to a little bit more active role. I mean, I personally, whatever, it's not like what I say is going to make him come back, but I do appreciate someone who would be looking after their wife. If that's the honest truth and the reason why, then I can appreciate that. Right. But I unfortunately think it's going to be pretty hard to undo. If Harry's sitting around one day and is like, you know what, William's going to be king tomorrow, coronation's tomorrow, right? Coronation day. Mm-hmm. And now's the time. We need to be back and be active into this.
Well, I think it'll happen before that, but
I'm saying in a figurative speech of things. I think it's going to be a rough road for them to try to backtrack on any of it. And I don't mean backtrack in a negative way. I mean, just to go back to anything or to have even more involvement, reverse wise, or, it's, I don't know. I think there's some of Kate probably that deep down is like, what, you got a break? You got to take a break. Why do you think you should come back now? This was, you chose not to. So no, thank you.
But I have been hearing that his dad and that Charles and William have been reaching out to them more often now with more love and support and saying, you're always welcome back. Take the time you need. Your mental health is more important. Take the time you need, but you're always welcome back, which makes me think there's going to be new roles. And I do think Archie will at some point be given a title. I mean, as much as I love the Queen and I don't want to talk, I think she's just old school. Yeah. And when William or even Charles becomes king, the rules will relax. They'll become a little bit more of a modern royal family.
Well, and I think that's what
people feel more comfortable in that type of role.
That's what I believe people were waiting on. And to them, they see Harry stepping away from it and they're worried that it's not going to happen now. Okay, we were really waiting and hoping, yes, we know Harry's not going to be the king. We know that. But with as I said, the dynamic duo of William and Harry, which they are often referred to as, right? A package deal. I think people were just anticipating like, oh my gosh, if we can just get through Charles, like a little bit. Again, I know Charles has relaxed a lot over the years and whatever, and it's fine, but I do think that people were just waiting for that day when Harry and William will take that modern approach and role. And Harry, while not the king, is going to still be one of these trusted people that they look to. And so now it's like, oh my gosh, like we're losing it a little bit. We're losing our modern day heroes, and I guess that I mean, I get it, if I lived there, but that's my opinion of what they are looking at it as. Like, oh my gosh, we lost them to Canada, like what it's going to be difficult. And now, the other day, Megan has her picture taken walking Archie and a dog or whatever out and about, and they get all ticked off about her having her photo taken there. And I'm like, look,
well, because the guy flew over from the UK, hid in the bushes and took the picture. They were supposed to be on private property, and there's supposed to be different laws in Canada about how you can get the pictures. So I think that was part of the violation. And you're like, look, but you guys are still doing it. We've moved a continent away and you're still bothering us.
Well, of course they're going to be bothering you right now. You just stepped away from the freaking royal family. Like you are.
But what was the topic? Again, the whole point of that picture was, oh, she's not carrying Archie right in the thing. And it's like, she takes her kid and a dog out for a walk. She's not expecting to have her picture. And oh my God, she has on whatever they call it, a torque or whatever they call it. One of the skull cap, and in Canada, she's wearing a hat and she's got on, it's like,
yeah,
people.
But it's like, just like,
this is why I left.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what Harry's saying. This is why we left. Because you won't leave us alone.
I know it's cliche to say, and I understand, but I do still stand behind you did kind of sign up for this. And,
absolutely.
And I hate that you go through scrutiny of anything. As much as I'm not a Meghan fan, I don't want her to be scrutinized by people because of what she's wearing or anything else, right? Like that's not.
I think it was more than that. I think it was bullied. She was bullied.
And so is Jennifer Aniston. So is Brad Pitt. So is, so is our president. So is, Barack Obama. So is that, people sign up when they sign up to go into public and put your name and face out there. She was bullied as a person on Suits. I guarantee you,
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's just a matter of, I just feel like she had a little bit of her pride hurt by her power being taken away of what she got to do in her day-to-day life and didn't like it. Yes, the scrutiny of photographers and paparazzi and everything's horrible, horrible. But I've seen pictures of C-list actors and these, like it's a photo of the paparazzi taking photos of the C-list actor. Like I'm sure you've seen something like that where they say, here's what it looks like to follow so-and-so, somebody that's been on like Dancing with the Stars, right? And it's ridiculous. I mean, there's 20 people following them and they're a C-list actor. Like you are married to Harry. People are going to follow you and then you leave and you disrupt a lot of stuff, whether it be in a negative or a positive way, it doesn't matter. It's disrupted things. Then, yeah, I don't say, I'm not saying I agree with it, but unfortunately it's going to happen.
Do you think people are more upset because he left or because, like your brother-in-law, a little bit of the shine has been taken off of the royal family? Like maybe all the grass isn't greener over there. Maybe it's not so easy being a royal and maybe life's not all it's cracked up to be. So do you think maybe that's a little bit of it? That people's image of them has been shattered a little bit because Harry's like, I'd rather live in Canada and be on my own and pay my own way than be part of this family right now.
No, I honestly believe that happened a long time ago when things, come out, whenever Charles married Camilla. Right. And everybody knows the details of what went down about the mistresses and the affairs over the years. Things like The Crown, the show on Netflix, have really opened up people's eyes to what happens in there. I don't think you haven't watched that yet, right? No, you should totally watch it. I mean, it's very eye-opening and a lot of it comes from accounts of people that were there, so there is some truth to a lot of this stuff. And, I think the shine was taken off a long time ago. I think people are upset because of what they were hoping the future was going to be, to maybe bring the shine back was going to be William and Harry.
And
People love
it could still be
Diana. I mean, look at this. If we're going to make these connections, people loved Princess Diana, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that paparazzi still followed her, and that paparazzi still ruined, quote unquote, their life, and ultimately is what led to her death. It's now, that was, things were happening when people were popular. So it's been happening for years, right? There was so much scrutiny whenever, what's his name? King, whoever decided to abdicate to go with Wallace Simpson. There's a lot more details to it. I learned a lot watching The Crown. Thank you, Netflix. But, I just feel like that, it's unfortunate what they've gone through. It's unfortunate that they have this new baby, a beautiful baby that should be, safe and happy and healthy. And they have to do this extra to protect him. I hate that this paparazzi has caused issues like this. I just wish that things were maybe handled in a different way to where Meghan could be a little more accepting of, unfortunately, what she signed up for.
So here's another thought that goes into it. Meghan is 38, will be 39 maybe this summer.
Somewhere, around there.
So there could also be some consideration for her health and her stress levels in trying to have another child, if they want a second child. I mean, she's getting up there to the age where you're considered a geriatric pregnancy or
right,
with extra complications. So this could also be part of that. She's very stressed in the UK. She's very depressed in the UK. That could be part of the issue of, are we able to have another child now? Should we have another child now? We don't know if they've experienced something personal. So this could also be let's step away. Let us live our lives through this time period, maybe have a second child, whether we adopt or have another child, or if we adopt and have another child of our own. Let us have time to do that and grow as a family and get strong and secure as a family unit. And then we will come back into the fold. I think the fact that they didn't lose their titles is telling. So, I mean, I think, there's still that door open. And the fact that the Queen said family, I don't know how many times in her press release, tells you that there was something more there than a job. I'm resigning my job. There was obviously something that she heard from Harry in those conversations where she wanted to reiterate to her the fact to not only Meghan and Harry, but to the UK and everyone there saying, this is my family. They're always going to be part of my family. They'll always be welcomed back. So I think that was intentional. It was very grandmotherly. It was more of our family is going through something right now, but we still support this decision that they've made. There are going to be some things that have to change due to this with their request, but we respect what they want to do as a family. So there could be some underlying issues there where the paparazzi, yes, is part of the cause of the problem, but the underlying issue is we want to have a safe environment, a stress-free environment to expand our family a little bit more. Because again, we don't know what she went through with her first pregnancy, or if they've had some unfortunate events happen in trying to create, another child. So there's a lot that we likely don't know that led to this decision.
So, in closing of this, what do you think is going to change for Meghan and Harry now?
I think they'll get a chance to live as normally as they can as a married, without the glare and the responsibilities that come with being a royal. I mean, whatever I read, or I don't know if it was on TV or I read this, how many engagements just Harry alone had last year, and how many Sophie of Wessex will have to be picking up because of Harry's absence, and how many Meghan have. I mean, that's a lot of work. So I think they'll get to create their own schedule and work, when and where they want to and how they want to. I think the Invictus Games is going to, be a big thing of what Harry does, and Meghan will get to find her footing. I think she's going to learn how to be her own person. And then they'll learn how to form a stronger family unit as a family, as a couple, and as a family. And then say, okay, this is what we've done. And we're ready to come back now because our kids are either in school or whatever's happening. But these are the terms, we want to continue these philanthropic things that we've started. And we don't want to work. I don't want to be gone to 250 engagements overseas and then have to go to Australia for 3 weeks. And, I don't want to do those things. So I think it's going to be a little more of it's almost like you don't know what you've got until it's gone. They'll realize we are an important part of this family. We are popular, but we've got to have a chance to get what Kate and William were able to do, kind of just be themselves. And, Kate grew up in the UK, so it's probably different for her idea of it. And she probably knew going into it what she was signing up for. But they dated for a lot longer. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to grow. They're going to find their footing. And then they'll say, we've matured. We're stronger as a family. And we're ready to come back. And I think it'll be, I don't think they'll jump back in full-fledged right away. There'll be baby steps along the way that we'll see, whether it's an engagement here, an engagement there, and then all of a sudden it's, he's going to pick up this engagement again. They're now on a royal tour of Australia again. So I think that's what will happen. And then Charles, or by the time William takes over the crown, they'll be full members of the family again.
So what I hear you saying is that Meghan needed a timeout.
Pretty much. I think Harry did too. I think Harry needed a timeout. Harry's been a working royal since he was 12.
Yeah.
And he lost his mother. So, he's never really had a chance to grow. He was acting out. Let's be honest. He's been acting out forever. Then he had 2 or 3 serious girlfriends, and then he met Meghan and got married. He needs a timeout. He needs to just relax. And that's what they were saying on that show, is that it wasn't that Harry never wanted to do this before. It was that he now had the support of someone he loved who said, I've got your back. If this is what you want to do, I'm there with you. Because according to this show, Harry, his friend, Harry's been talking about this for a long time. Before Meghan.
Oh, now. I think that we will agree to disagree on old Harry and Meghan. I think we both agree on Harry. I think Meghan took a time out and told her family, this is what we're doing. Going on a little permanent vacation, guys. I think it'll be interesting to watch. It's interesting because it's family dynamics and we all deal with it. And it is, there are definitely times that people need breaks from their family, and I get that. So we'll just kind of see how we'll see how things play out in the future. We can use this recording as a reference as to when we are going to, after William becomes king, we'll be able to reference back to this show and say, see, we all thought that Harry would be back by now. But really, it's when we realized that Harry is running the local Courtyard Motel and enjoying his camping life or something in Canada, and Meghan's back on TV. Just saying. So,
as a side note, did you ever remember seeing William with a full beard?
William?
Yes.
No, but I would like it.
On the show last night, they had a picture of a young William and Harry. I think Harry was probably in his 20s. And William had full beard and mustache. I was like, who is that? And I turned around, I'm like, that's William.
I'm looking it up because I don't believe you. Oh, wait. Hello. It is young. Yeah. Well, he still had a full head of hair. So It's been a while.
So they were young. But I was like, I've never seen him with a full beard.
2008.
I don't ever remember seeing that. And they showed it on TV last night. And I was kind of set up like, who's that? Oh, that's William.
No, but
I think it looks better on.
I'm also seeing that there's a photo of Prince Charles back in the day when he was real young. And he had a beard.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't remember that either. But interesting. I encourage people to go take a look at that. Oh, but he was just a baby. He was young. Funny. And okay. Well, again, we say it every time, but we encourage you to go watch The Crown, Jeanette, and go see what some of this history is. We're getting into the next season will involve Diana and the boys. The most recent season.
So are we going to really find out what happens when we see Meghan on The Crown?
Maybe. Oh, I hope it goes that long. Oh, I hope it goes that deep.
I have to fast forward, skip over some things. Skip over Fergie.
Well, Camilla was on this past season. So we saw the original connection between Charles and Camilla and the connection of Anne, Charles's sister, to Camilla.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know any of that business. Like Parker Boyles, that was her name before. The man, what was it, Andrew Parker Boyles or whoever Camilla's husband.
Yeah.
Whenever the king and queen told Charles, you can't marry her, or didn't tell him you can't, they brought to attention reasons why he should not marry Camilla because he wanted to. But it turns out they discovered her because Anne was hooking up with Mr. Parker Boyles while Charles was hooking up with Camilla. What? Yeah, I had no idea that Anne had this connection to it. Anne was with
a scandal.
Camilla's husband.
That's got to be awkward family dinners.
I'm telling you. And that's one of the most brilliant parts of The Crown is the casting they did for Anne. It was fantastic. She's like my new favorite person. Like she's a little slutty and a little like trampy in it, but she also says what she thinks and she doesn't stand for it. She kind of goes and does her royal duties, and then she goes and does duties with other people at other times too. Like it's really interesting. So
is this Diana? They have Diana now with the young boys, or they're just born, or
no? Diana has not been she'll be in the next season.
Okay, so, next season. Okay.
Yep. So which has not come out yet, so we haven't seen it, but we know that they've announced like that's what they're up to. Charles is gonna, I'm sure, be married or be getting married or something at the beginning of this season.
Okay.
Yeah. So now's the time to catch up. It's on Netflix. It's super easy, and some of it's pretty juicy. So just throwing it out there. All right. Well, we're not going to keep anybody any longer. We've talked some deep subjects, like deep dives, serious things too.
We did.
So a lot of the stuff is very serious, but okay. So I'm going to go through the housekeeping. As some of you may have seen, we have taken everything off Facebook, or we're just not posting to Facebook anymore. I'm going strictly Instagram, which means, Jeanette, I need your support on this.
Yeah, I got to figure out my login and password. I'm on it. I can't get on it. I have my daughter and her friends like it.
Good. There you go. We can, I stay fairly clean on there. It's a lot of imagery and posting about the show. That's about it. So we are now strictly on Instagram. Encourage you guys to go look us up. It's at ChickChatter, and shoot me a note. Send us some topics you want to hear about, anything that you'd like us to talk on. And we will be back very soon with some other pressing things that just didn't quite feel right to talk about today, because we had stuff to catch up on from the holiday time and all of this that's happened. But we will be back with a little bit more normal, scattered show next episode. And so we hope to hear from you before then. Otherwise, we hope you are subscribing, clicking, reviewing, sending us messages, whatever it is you like to do, wherever you like to listen. And please go check out some other shows over on themesh.tv. It's themesh.tv. We have something for everybody up there. And sometimes you might find us cross-pollinating a little bit, showing off some of the other shows. You might never know where we're going to appear. So please go check out the rest of the lineup and let us know what you think. All right, Jeanette.
All right.
Go hang out with your pictures of Megan, and I'll go watch more of The Crown.
Yeah, look at pictures of William with his full beard.
Noted. Will do. All right. Well, you take care. And hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you doing this. And
Thank you.
I miss seeing you face to face, but I love that we get to do this little deal. And it's fun. And I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thanks, Mary Margaret.
All right, guys. We will talk to you next time on ChickChat. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the flip side.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.